watching everybody in my life having mild freakouts because um, misinterpreting, how can I put it? A shift's happened in the atmosphere and we're coming up to the 11:11 portal, right? People are starting to feel it. People are starting to recognise there's a shift in the atmosphere. You can physically start to see the separation of the two worlds. You know, the quantum menace and the battle of two worlds, right? So you're physically starting to see the end of the old and the birth of the new. The people who are a threat to humanity are starting to be very obviously highlighted on the world stage, and they can't be fooled by the people anymore. But then those who are seen as the trailblazers and the ones to look up to for inspiration, and that are also being highlighted. And there's a shift, like the herd are starting to follow new paths, and it's dividing the herd between two fractions, two factions. Sorry, one side that is on a fast track to demise. You know, your climate change liars and your Epsteiners, the coalition of the Epsteiners, and that they've been people can't deny their level of deception anymore. It's so obvious. It's like literally been lit up on the world stage. But then there's people like Eastern European leaders and that who are starting to rise up, who are starting to be seen in a whole new light where they were never seen before. So you're seeing people like Viktor Orban and um, Putin and Lukashenko and that, who are all being highlighted as leaders that are gaining respect on the world stage. And it's been fascinating watching it. And I can feel the shift. You can feel the shift. It's so obvious, and we've got the 11:11 portal coming up. It opens up at midnight. And this is it. It's like step into the light or get taken down by the darkness. You know, I was talking about how God and Satan have come to like clean the streets, of sweep the streets clean of darkness, and the darkness is being held up for all the world to see, so that it's making it easier for people to make the choice to go in the opposite direction, which is why we're starting to see, unfortunately, there's been a massive backlash with Prince William, especially over this whole climate change thing and the trees being chopped down and all of that. People have started to see the truth, and now it's come out that there's some possible money laundering going on with Starmer and his wife, and over this whole Tony Blair digital ID Larry Ellison thing, which is everything that I said was coming. And it's like you can see the divide now. It's like all that was hidden is now being brought to the surface, and it's beautiful. That's Odin, by the way. When stuff from the underworld, when things are in the shadows are being brought to the surface, that's Odin. That's what he does. Anything that doesn't belong in the underworld gets brought up by Odin. so, so anyway, the people around me are starting to feel the shift. They know I'm getting ready to leave. I know I'm about to get justice. I know I'm about to step through that door to my future, and my past is no longer going to exist. And the people who are coming with me, who are about to step into that portal with me, into that time change, like paradigm shift, they're starting to feel it. And they keep thinking they're losing me, they've suddenly become very aware of the fact that they're afraid they're about to lose me, and they're misinterpreting their emotions of loss, of a phase change as loss. Because, like I said to my sister, you're not afraid of losing me, you're grieving the fact that you're letting go of our past, of our childhood, of our traumas and everything that got us to this point. Because now that we've lost our Amber, we have no sort of real connection to our family anymore. So it's just her and I, and I've asked her to come in and live with me wherever it is that I settle. And like, the people in my life who are freaking out aren't recognizing that it's because they're letting go of all the things that no longer serve them, because they're being prepared to have brand new beginnings, because that's what's happening for the people who are turning towards the light, the people who are seeing the truth of these world leaders and the deception and the corruption and blah blah blah. They're turning away from their beliefs of climate change and vaccination and, this, that and the other kind of mindset and belief in that, and they're starting to migrate towards the more of wanting to embrace tradition. I've been watching these conversations that have been trending on X, with people talking about, God, why don't they do interior design like that anymore? And, why don't they make movies like that anymore? And people are longing for the old days. And that's my empire. My empire is built on tradition. And one of the things that I want to bring back is radio, the days of radio, the days of when you used to sit around and listen to the radio. And I was saying to my sister, while I was reminding her of some songs I used to listen to when I was a kid, and one of them in particular they used to play a lot, at Twilight Zone by Manhattan Transfer. They used to play a lot at night when I'd be lying asleep, like trying to get to sleep in bed as a kid, growing up in Levin. So every time I hear that song now, it automatically reminds me of when I was back in my room listening to the radio, like trying to go to sleep at night. And I grew up in a household where every Sunday morning we would get up and go into my parents' bedroom while my mum was making coffee and breakfast and all that, every Sunday morning, and listen to children's stories. So I've written like a whole pile of children's stories, children's books and stories to read. The Grandmother Tree, my son and I came up with the jingle for it, so that kids can get up and, turn their little internet radio thing on and tune into our children's stories. And then Saturday night is for the men, the granddads, the uncles, the men that want to listen to the spy stories and the World War II stories, and we'll have the time jumping detective series. And so I've been sitting here thinking, because obviously when I get out of here, the first thing I need to do, once I find a place to call home, is set up a room for my radio station and to record, like when I have to do my voices and that. And then, so I need a name for my radio station. And then I've spent the last couple of years figuring out like the radio time slots, like what's like, for example, Sunday night I want to do is dedicate Sunday night to horror and paranormal stuff. So then, like I've got my talkback shows where, and my radio shows and that, but I'm sitting here thinking the other thing that I can do is start introducing all the characters to my animated TV series, The Art of Creation, like Pearl and Grim Rapier, and do like a whole thing based around the Ministry of Souls News Network, and I'm just sitting here thinking I can't wait to audition the voice actors. I was saying to my sister, I put so much thought into my characters. They're like my children, and one of the things that I do when I'm figuring out their character is like what their voice sounds like, and do they have accents, and I've been talking to my sister about my characters and their voices, accents, and that, and I'm really looking forward to doing the auditions because I know that when I put the auditions up online, and one of the things that I want to do when I find a place to move to is go around like the newspapers and radio stations and that and put out the call for people who want to audition to do the voices. And they don't even have to be people that are in the same country, as long as we can record their parts and their shows and whatever they have to do, we can edit all of that in. Because my nephew in Australia is going to be doing some stuff, and we're setting him up in Queensland and that. So yeah, I just can't wait to start getting these shows out. So while I'm waiting for a place to build my fire, my Foundation Arts and Entertainment Academy, and set up all my businesses, it might take me a little bit longer to set up Pure Waters, which is what I call my kids' camp, where they'll come and stay with us while they're learning their trades and talents and all of that. I can set up my businesses in the meantime. They're not going to take long to set up my, the Royal Oak Tree and my food stores and my boutique and all that. They're not going to take long to set up. So my businesses will be up and running probably faster than my actual school, because obviously I've got to get laws written up and agreements and contracts and that where these countries are okay with with me taking their kids out of their countries to, set them up in our camp for the ultimate creative experience sort of thing. So while all that's going on in the background, I can sit at home and do my radio shows and put them out on Spotify and all of that. And yeah, so I'm sitting here thinking, like, I think one of the things that I want to do by starting to introduce the characters to my animated TV series, because I want it to be along, the art of creation, and the name might change, but it's going to be like well, when I originally created it, it was like the first British animated TV series that's like South Park and Family Guy, and a bit regular show, a bit Rick and Morty, sort of Futurama, that sort of that sort of thing. But Britain's first. But obviously, I'm not staying here now, so yeah. Um, I wanted to give Britain their first animated TV series, but anyway, the characters in that show that work for the Ministry of Souls News Network, even behind closed doors, which is going to be our version of Friends, I can I can change it so that they become radio episodes, radio series, radio episodes. The Time Jumping Detective, which is going to be our version of Doctor Who, we can totally put that over the radio, as long as I have good voice actors and good script writers and all of that to help me write the series and episodes and all that to all the different shows that I'm doing, and good sound effects people. Yeah, we can bring back the golden age of radio. I would absolutely love that. And then when I have my streaming service, and then when we have the bit that does like the radio, I want it to look like a sort of like a 1930s style radio interface sort of thing. So yeah, because my sister and I, the one that I've been talking to, when we were little, we used to pretend to have a radio show in her bedroom, and we'd pretend to do like talkback radio, and we'd play like the records and that, but we'd record ourselves on tape recorder and then play it back and pretend we were listening to the radio. So I said to her, she was the one that got me into radio, and then of course growing up with the kids' stories and that with my parents. like the little engine that could. And yeah, so Bad Jelly the Witch, my kids grew up listening to Bad Jelly the Witch, so it's like I want to bring that back. Most of our movies that we want to make are based kind of centered around the 70s, 80s, maybe 90s. Very few of our stuff is done with the modern age in mind. Even with like the Soul Collector series, I mean, the in the episode that I was writing, like last year with, because the Soul Collector's Detective Ruby Corazon, who works for the Historical Grief Investigation Department for the Ministry of Souls. And she has to like go on this whole adventure with Theo Lazarus, who is a private detective for the Ministry of Souls. They're both, they work in the realms of the underworld and that, and they have to go on like this big adventure together. And then there's like a whole series that Theo Lazarus does with Joseph B. Foote, who's a Bigfoot, who's a Sasquatch, but he doesn't know he's a Sasquatch. And it's like our version of like unsolved mysteries, ghost adventures, that sort of thing. But they go around investigating, Bigfoot sightings and ghosts and hauntings, like ghost trains and haunted cemeteries and UFOs and all that sort of thing. And they're all stories that I can absolutely turn into radio shows while I'm waiting to set up the school. And then we can take all of that and turn them into the TV series and the movies and the video games and all of that that I plan to do with them. But it gives the listener the opportunity to get to know all the characters. And then when the day comes when I actually get to open up the gates to the school, I'm really, really hoping it can be before the 1st of October of next year, because I want to be able to kick it all off with a Halloween festival. And then we can do, it gives the kids that we find a year to be able to practice and rehearse the Night of the Black Sun, which I was originally going to call Van to Black, which is our zombie horror apocalypse musical that is like War of the Worlds, which was a radio story back in the 30s and that absolutely scared the bejeebers out of people. So I want to be able to perform it live, but broadcast it over the radio. But people being invited to come to the park with the kids being the musicians and you know doing the voice acting along with the adults. And I'm play the role of mum. I come and rescue the kids at the end with the man in the helicopter. But yeah, it's a zombie apocalypse movie that musical, sorry, that I had written with my son Thomas, and I'm just so proud of it. But it's like War of the Worlds, and we're going to play it over the radio, but broadcast it like in a big open air concert where people can come with their picnic baskets and their kids and all of that and watch this performance, but broadcast it over the radio as well. And then people around the world can listen to it and that. So, yeah, like I've written a lot of stuff for the radio, and yeah, I want to bring back the golden age of radio, and people are screaming out for this sort of stuff. The way that I'm going to build my fire, it's going to look medieval, but I'm also going to have a bit that's like Western, like Red Dead Redemption and all that, for the purposes of making movies and, bringing tourists in and that, because people are missing the tradition of entertainment and art and culture. And it's like perfect timing because that's exactly what I have created in my empire, in my tourism, arts, entertainment, food, beverage empire. I'm reminding people of their childhood. My empire is built around taking people back to their childhood, where they're being comforted and nurtured and fed good, like home cooked food, and so we're not. My food's never going to be fancy. It's it's mum food. So yeah, and we're going to have a theatre that plays all our movies, and we'll have like I've written children's cartoons. I've been trying to practice the voice of my character, um, trying to find my child's voice. You know, like that Chuggington sort of Thomas and Friends, Postman Pat kind of child's cartoon handyman-y sort of voice character, Doc McStuffins and all of that. I have spent years, even when my boys were little, I have spent years rehearsing and practicing voices because my dad used to do it all the time. My dad was born to be a performer. I mean, he was a singer and he played the drums and that, but he was born to be on stage. They used to say he was like the New Zealand Elvis, my dad. He was like the man that all the girls wanted, and you know, my mum got him. So, um, so yeah, um, I can't wait. It's like it's like everything I was destined to build and create is starting to manifest at a time when people are calling out for what it is that I have built and created, going back to the past, taking people back, letting them have that escape back to their childhoods when they were engaging with things that made them feel safe and comfortable, and you know, at a time where they weren't having to fight the tyranny of, you know, what we see in playing out on the world stage. And so countries like Russia and Hungary and Slovakia and Belarus and all of that are standing up and saying we're fighting to keep tradition alive. And it's like, yay, because now I get to go over there because that's exactly what I want to do too. So it's like, let me come into your country, please, Eastern European country, and I'll light my fire there. I'll plant my seed, and we'll sit back and watch it grow and take people back to a time when the cartoons were wholesome. And, you know, if they were violent, it wasn't, you know, like with Wile E. Coyote and remember Donald Duck and his temper and all of that. Like, it didn't phase us kids. We weren't precious, you know. So I want to bring back. There's a couple of things that I've written that I would love to do in the style of like the Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. So you know, going like Ray Harryhausen and that stop motion, just going back to the simplistic times of art and entertainment before we were saturated with things like AI. AI has destroyed people's imaginations. It's trying to remove people's ability to think and create and imaginate, and people are starting to realise that. And it's beautiful because what's going to happen is, and certainly what I've created, the second they walk through the gates of my foundation, they're going to forget about their mobile phones and their social media and that, other than wanting to share their experience. They'll be able to just like put it all down, you know, and sit on the blankets and watch us put on these outdoor shows in the summer, and you know, have our food, art, and music festivals, and you know, so yeah, I can't wait. So one of the things that I'm going to be able to do with my radio show as well is do my Ministry of Souls News Network breaking news flashes, and then you'll be able. What I want people to do is every time Grim Rapier or Dober Drexel, the karmic news reporter, comes out with a download. The only news network that predicts the news before it happens is their slogan, because as you know, I've been testing this theory out on my social media where I get these code downloads for things that are going to happen in the future, and then they happen. But I present it like it's Dober Drexel from the Ministry of Souls News Network. I used to call it GNN, Gatekeeper News Network, but I changed it to Ministry of Souls News Network, MSNN. And the characters in it, I've been like introducing people to the characters that are going to be on this TV animated series, and that in Dover Drexel. She's my Jewish karmic news reporter, and I adore her. And then we've got Pearl Whitcomb, who is like the gossip columnist, but she gives incredible advice because she is the direct bloodline from the Witch of Endor in the Bible. So, but she's like, I've been trying to perfect her character down to her accent currently at the moment, because when I put the word out that I'm looking for people to audition to do the voice characters and that, I'll know the second they say their lines. Yep, that's them. You know, like I want to encourage my voice actors to be able to find the character that matches what I've written in my head. So there's Pearl. Now the thing is, I was originally going to have loose lips, sink ships. If not, it's not gossip. If it's news, which is going to be like our version of Loose Women and The View, and it was going to be Dover Drexel, Pearl Whitcomb, Amber Diamond, the cosmic weather girl and meteorologist, and Miss Jodine, who presents the Miss Jodine and Friends, the kids show that she does with puppets. And I've actually decided to just have it as Dover Drexel and Pearl Whitcomb, whether it's going to be like the just two ladies having a gossip at home around the fire sort of thing, but being the comedy in that, but talking about real events that haven't happened yet. So and then people keeping score of what it is that they're saying, and then waiting for it to happen on the news, because it's not gossip if it's news, but we're also going to be predicting things to incorporate into the show, because they work for heaven and hell and all that, right? So so the stuff that I write into it is all stuff that I've been posting on social media to get everybody ready for what's coming, to prove that we really are reporting the news on behalf of God and Odin and Zeus, whoever your gods are, whatever you believe in, Ganesh, Shiva, blah, 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 Allah, whoever. So, because it's basically the story, the Art of Creation is the animated TV series that's like a reality TV based show that goes behind the scenes of the news network for heaven, hell, the karmic courts and purgatory, and the reincarnation hallways and all of that sort of thing, covering everyone's religious and theological beliefs, whether they're atheists or Satanists or whatever they believe. Because by doing it that way, it's given me access to be able to have untold amounts of episodes that we get to write. So we'll never run out of fresh stories and ideas, especially when it's involving things that haven't happened in the news yet or haven't happened in the world yet. And it's gonna keep people hooked. Because it's not gossip if it's news, but at the same time, we're reporting a lot of stuff in the TV series that won't have happened in real life yet. It's whereas you've got TV shows like South Park and that talk about current events, things that are going on in the world at the moment, we're going to be talking about things that haven't happened yet, but will happen. Because it's real, because I'm trying to show people that my magic is real. I always keep saying I'm Harry Potter, but real. My magic is real. I'm real Harry Potter. So when you come to, the Amber Wilkinson School of Witchcraft and all of that, everything you learn is going to be real. Everything that you take in is going to be real, which is right why, with like my Quantum Menace sagas, the one that we've written for the World War Two saga, um, the Quantum Menace character that is now called Benjamin Day and not Olivia Day, he's in RAF Ashbourne, which is a real RAF base from World War Two here in Derbyshire. Uh, he's gone to help them open up the portal to stop the Germans from trying to sneak in through America by putting on the distraction of the Hindenburg. So my son and I had written these stories based on real events, but we were adding a fictitious superhero, time jumping character. And then, of course, like when we get to make the time jumping detective as an actual TV show, once we've got the foundation built, the town itself, the foundation itself, will be like the entire movie set for the time jumping detective. Anything that we can't film outside on the grounds, we can film in the city or in our broadcasting studio where we'll be able to use like the special effects and the blue screens and that. But we had said that we wanted to keep our animation and digital stuff down to blue screens and that sort of thing, and limit the use of like AI and all of that. Like we don't want to use any AI, and we want to do everything old school, how they would have done it in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and that. And the Night of the Black Sun, KNIGHT, the Night of the Black Sun, it's obviously reference to Nazi occultism and all that. Where when we turn that into a movie, we're giving it serious thought about making it black and white, but we've decided that we want that based around like the 70s or 80s, so it will be recorded with the exact same kind of access to graphics and special effects and makeup and all that as they would have done in the 70s and 80s. So yeah, so my set designers and that will have fun. They'll have to go around looking for like old day phones and old day cars, and yeah, it's just going to be so exciting. But in the meantime, I'll be able to put all of that into my radio station. So it gives people something to look forward to when we're actually ready to start turning that into movies and TV shows and that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the auditions. I have spent a good year and a half researching radio station names, but all the ones I keep coming up with have been taken. So I'm just, the right name will come along at the right time for my radio station. But yeah, I'm going to need to employ people to like help me do all the shows and edit the sound effects, and yeah, I'll have a I want to have like a summer house at the back of my property that I give over to recording everything. I'm going to need to find musicians and a composer and that to help me turn The Night of the Black Sun into this musical. I've already come up with a couple of songs and a couple of like tunes and all of that they can help me put the meat and bones on. So yeah, it's like I'm nearly there. It's like as of midnight tonight, it's almost like I'm about to just slip through the veil, and the people who are coming with me are starting to feel it, and they're misinterpreting me leaving with forgetting that they're coming with me. And it's just beautiful. So now I'm just going around calming them all down to say, look, no, you're not losing me. You're letting go of the past. You're learning to detach from what it is you have to let go of because you're moving forward with me into a new chapter and you're misinterpreting those feelings. So, yeah, it's really beautiful. So, I'm currently coming up with a name for my radio station, but it'll, it'll come to me. So, yeah, I just got to find a place to call home and then I'm ready to go. So just get ready, and then and I'm not looking for famous people to do the voices and that. I want normal, average, everyday people. I want normal, average, everyday people. What I'm going to do is I'm going to advertise. I'll have a website and social media, where you'll be able to click to look at all the characters that and it'll give their descriptions and everything, and then there'll be lines for you to rehearse, like specific things that I want you to say. And if I think that you have the potential to be that person, then I'll get you back. Otherwise, like if you hit the nail on the head, I'm just going to say, yep, you're definitely Dober Drexel. See, like Dober Drexel, you're going to have to be able to do like a, like a New York Jewish woman's accent. And, with Grim Rapper, yeah, I mean, he's very much like that sort of Troy McClure, sort of, hi, I'm Grim Rappier, and this is breaking news at MSNN, sort of thing. That kind of, yeah, but he's the Grim Reaper, so I'll know. As soon as I hear their voices, I'm going to know, yep, that's you. And then they get to be that character in multiple other shows, and so they're always making money, and then they get to become toy merchandise, and yeah, so oh my god, I'm so excited. My nephew's going to help me with my comic books and my comic book program and my toy merchandise and all of that. So, my sister's nephew, the one that I've said come and live with me, like come and move in wherever it is, what country I'm moving to, um, come and live with me. So, this is it. I can feel it. I can feel it with every fibre of my being, and I'm excited because I love doing radio. But I love the fact that I've written so many stories and children's books and that I get to just turn over to other people to bring to life with their incredible voices and characters and personalities. They're going to become icons, and then we get to be a traditional, wholesome version of Disney. I'll be like the wholesome version of Walt Disney without the Nazism and pedophilia and human trafficking and so you know what I mean. So I'm the nice version. So I can't wait. So I just want to put it out there. I'll find a name for my radio station. I've been searching for well over a year, maybe even longer than that. I kind of got sick of looking up names, but they're all the ones I kept coming up with were taken. But it'll come to me. So yes, I'm just putting the final touches on everything so that when I find my writers and my people and that, we can sit and have our talks and our meetings and our coffee sessions and practice the voices and get it all recorded and blasting out over the internet radio and Spotify and all that. And I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. So I'm going to go now. But I just wanted to let you know what I've been up to, and I shall speak to you later. Take care. Ka kite anō. Mwah.